thank you all so much for being here. You know, I'm Lina Orlando. Got to make sure I get that out there for the recording, huh? Make it fun. So the purpose of doing this is an opportunity for me to share these messages that I'm receiving. And what is getting very, very intensified is the need to go to that place of being very clear, drawing the line in the sand, and knowing what the difference is between being awake and being aware. Being aware is about beginning to understand that there are two ways of looking at life. There is the head way, there's the heart way. There is the way of God, there is the way of the ego. And there's absolutely no way that anybody can wake up without becoming aware of the two and then making the choice for the one. Being awake is that love is the only way. God's way is the only way. God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And I'm beginning to get really excited about coming up with a name. Of course, this is a satsang, so anything that you name is already limiting what it is. It's already not allowing that thing to be fully what it is, because the purpose of satsang is to speak truth. And the minute we use words, we're no longer in a state of truth, but we're trying to use words to convey something that is similar to truth. At least it points the way to truth. But one of the things that is really exciting is the more I enter into my journey, into that place of integrity, into that place of truth, the best word that fits this power that we're all trying to reconnect with. Not that we've ever left it, but we're beginning to realize that we're still with it, it's still in us. When you use the word God, when you use the word spirit, universe, when you use words like anything that has any kind of a mystical connotation, it begins to generate ideas in people's minds. But the word that is still somewhat pure, that nobody can deny we all have an experience with, is life. There's a life force, there's a power, there's something that when you unplug it, that's it. Nobody can deny that when there is an unplugging, it's complete. So what is this thing that we all have access to, that we're not honoring, that we're not owning, that we're not living in alignment with? And it's just life. Call it God, call it love, call it energy, it doesn't matter. But the messages that keep coming stronger and clearer about what it is that we are supposed to make a decision about right now is to live inside of our brilliance or to continue to perpetuate the blocks. So it's all between brilliance and blocks. Getting to know what is brilliant about us and beginning to realize what blocks that brilliance. And you know, those of you who know me, and I've had the opportunity to coach with some of you personally, the simpler that we keep this entire process, the faster we're going to be able to experience the shifts. And the shift is very simple, very, very simple. Life is calling us back to worshiping it, as opposed to everything else out there that is pretty lifeless, that is holding us back, that is weighing us down, that is pulling us under, that is keeping us separated. All of these things that we're using to block ourselves from the experience of the brilliance that is not only in me, but it's in every single one of us. And we're missing out on the connection of our light. The brilliance is me shining my light so I can see you better. You shining your light so that you can see me better. But we are doing the work right now of waking up, which means we got to look at what's blocking the brilliance that is right here for us to experience. And life is saying it's time for you guys to see clearly, to see what is right there in front of you. And it is just so absolutely amazing. When I get these messages, when I get these things that begin to move through me, the simplicity of the truth is unbelievable. We're just pulling the blinders off of our eyes. We're beginning to move the cobwebs. They call it the veil of illusion. And what is this veil of illusion? We have built blocks to the truth. We have just built blocks to the truth. But here's the cool part. There's nobody to blame for those blocks. Absolutely nobody to blame, because from the beginning, there was a decision. I wonder if my brilliance can be separate from all of this brilliance. So it's like that little ray of the sun decided to, I wonder if my ray can be just as powerful as this whole sun. And with that simple decision to think that my light could be brighter than that of that which created all of us, we began to create this delusion, this idea that we're separate. And from the moment of the first humans on this planet, we began to believe that there were things out there that were more important than what was in here and was being expressed. Such a simple little mistake. I love A Course in Miracles, calls it a tiny mad idea. Such a simple little changing your opinion about the truth by creating a little opinion about the truth. No big deal, the little ray of sun is not going to affect the big sun, it's not possible. But here we are, all these brilliant beams of light operating as if we're distinct and separate from one another. And in the process of thinking that we're all separate from one another, we have begun to block our light. So now the process is unblocking the brilliance. But the thing that makes this journey challenging is that the blocks to our brilliance are thoughts in our minds. The hardest thing you'll ever find, the hardest thing you'll ever catch, the hardest thing you'll ever get your hands on and say, oh, this is the block to my light. So the reason so many have pointed the way and so few have been able to awaken, so few have been able to understand what is really being said, is because we're looking for something outside of us to add more to our brilliance versus recognizing that the brilliance is already in us and we are the ones who need to open up and express it. We are the ones who need to shine that light. So why are we not doing that? Because we have these crazy, tiny mad ideas, tiny mad beliefs, these thoughts, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not special enough, I'm not perfect enough, or I am more special than you, I am less special than you. Any thought that says that I am not what I am and you're not what you are the blocks to the awareness of the brilliance that's already in us. It's what's there, it's what's true, it's what's real. And the shift that is taking place right now, and I'm going to say now in 2016, not only is all of humanity going through this shift, but there are some who have been called, who have been on this journey for a while now, who have been called to shift from awareness to awakening. Awareness means I know there's more to me. Awake says, I am that allness. How am I going to express that? And there can be absolutely no distinction between allness and some of my allness. Allness means my brilliance has to be expressed. What's my brilliance? That's where it gets interesting. What's my brilliance? My brilliance is, if you sum it up to one word, it's love. It's love. Because what is our light is what powers us, and what powers us is love. Love. Why did love create this world? Why did love create this universe? That's the thing that has been so fascinating, to begin to sit in that place of meditation with what is love. And it just brings tears to my eyes, sitting there in total quiet contemplation. What is love? Love is nothing more than the desire to be in communion, to be in connection with anything that can possibly be created. This creative power, again I'm going to call it life, in its infinite potential, because it is infinite. Nobody argues that the creative power is infinite. In its infinite potential creates infinite things, infinite options. There's just infiniteness. And it has created an infinite array of experiences for us to have, an infinite array of butterflies, an infinite array of people, an infinite array of creative movement, of created, just pure creativity, constantly coming forth from this source, from this power that is infinite. So as I sat with what is love, it is nothing more than this infinite creator, creating infinitely for the sheer purpose of enjoying the communion, enjoying the experience of all that has been created. So how do these blocks get in the way? We have decided that some creations are okay, some are not. We have decided that these creations are better than those. We have decided that these are worth more than those. We have decided that, well, those are just not quite perfect enough. And we have began to label the Creator's creations as better or less than, right or wrong. And in the process of creating that separation, we have began to experience the distancing of ourselves from all that has been created, and have given ourselves a tiny little portion of the whole of infinity that is okay for us to be in. It's either okay for us to be only with our family, or maybe with certain communities, or maybe with certain people in those communities, and it's only okay for us to eat certain foods, to wear certain clothes, to listen to certain music, to believe certain things, so that there's only certain religions or philosophies that are okay. And the more we block ourselves into this world of what is okay, we have left the majority of the world outside. The majority of what has been created has been left outside, and we wonder why our life feels so small and so tight and so dense for so many of us. Because the walls that separate us from all that has been created has separated us from the experience of all that has been created. So the love that we are cannot be fully realized when there's something out there that we have decided is not worthy of our love. So these blocks again, it's all there is. My brilliance, the light in me, wants to see all that has been created. It wants to behold and experience what the Creator created for me to have the enjoyment of love. When I say that I am not going to love, I have blocked this light that could illuminate that so that I can behold what the Creator created. And in those blocks is where the work is. In those blocks is the opportunity for us to see, what is it that I'm believing about you that has me not experience you as the Creator created you? The essence of life there, what is it over there that makes me feel separate? It's always going to be a thought in my mind. It's always going to be a justification, something that I've learned along the way, I've picked up along the way, and I have decided it's okay for me to use as the way that I'm going to separate myself from you. But we're suffocating inside of our little bitty ideas of who we are, and we're beginning to realize that there's just so much more joy, so much more that we can experience when we begin to open up and love all that has been created. And we'll get to the practical application of that later, because I'm sure some are probably thinking, well, how can you love everything? Well, yes, you can love everything. Doesn't mean you have to be in community with everything, but you can be in communion with all of it. And that's what's so exciting about what's happening right now.
A quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not about what you're not aware of that exists. It's about what you're aware of and have judged, condemned somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's amazing is that when you begin to do the work and look at the blocks for what you have left out, what you have judged and left out, as you begin to move those blocks, what is amazing is that the vista gets bigger and wider, and you begin to see so much more that you had no idea was even there. That's why the energy work is so fascinating, because people are beginning to sense, to feel something they had no idea was there. I didn't know that there was such a thing as energy fields until I began to understand about energy fields. I had to move outside of my idea of how things were and begin to look at what else is out there that I don't know. So much more becomes revealed to us. The infinite universe now has room to come into our sight when we remove those blocks. So yes, that makes sense. But we start with what's right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the work is, because we got to excavate ourselves out of the little hole that we have dug ourselves in, so that we can begin to see, open up, and let our light shine the way. It's an absolutely amazing thing. Just let's take a second to feel that brilliance inside of you. If you can pinpoint within you that little light, that little flame, that little flicker of life, And when you can feel that, let it expand.